Hi, Rob here. Welcome to IELTS Transformation Writing course. We're in the grammar section. This is about the right grammar that you need to learn and use to do well in IELTS. This lesson is about the passive voice. In this lesson we will look at what the passive voice is, why you need to use it, and when you need to use it. So this is all about the grammar, the grammatical range and accuracy. That's what you're being assessed on. And this particular grammar point is about the range and the variety of structures that you need to use. Remember that for a band 7 and above, you need a variety of complex structures. So the passive voice is a complex structure. So therefore, you need to use it to help you to get a band 7 or more. Notice an 8 is a wide range of structures, a 9 is a wide range of structures with full flexibility. Don't worry about that at the moment. So the passive voice is when we don't know or care who does the verb, who does the action. So the subject of the sentence receives the action. This is different to the active voice, where the subject does the verb, and if there's an object, the object receives it. So, therefore, for example, let's say she hit him is active. She did the hitting to him. Whereas the passive, he was hit. And if we know who did it, by her, he was hit by her, so he received it. Okay? So when we use the passive, we're making a complex structure. We need these for 7 and above, as I said. Here's some examples. It is often said that fathers should spend more time at home. So we don't know who says that, but the implication is, the idea is that people say that fathers should spend time at home, but we can make it passive. It is often said that. Often is extra, of course. It is said that. The children were brought up to be well-mannered. So maybe the parents brought the children up. The parents brought the children up to be well-mannered. So here the children are receiving the upbringing actually. Hotels were packaged with flights. So travel agents packaged hotels with flights would be active. Hotels were packaged with flights. But we don't care who did the packaging. Packaging means put them together into a package or bundle. Travellers are benefited by cheaper flights. So we don't know who benefited the travellers by selling them cheaper flights. But the point is, the focus is on the noun, the subject that's receiving the benefits, the package, the upbringing, and the sayings. Okay? So we make the passive voice with the be verb and the past participle. Remember, a participle is when we take a verb and we change it into an adjective. We use the past participle to make verbs. So go, went, gone, do, did, done, make, made, made. It's that third column of verbs, and that's how most people learn it. Now, if we want to change the time of the verb, we change the be verb. So was and were in the past, am, is, are in the present, will be in the future. And then there are the perfect tenses as well. So in the passive voice, we can only use transitive verbs. So remember, a transitive verb must have an object. So, of course, if there is no object, we can't make the passive, because passive is when we take the object and move it to the subject position. we can use intransitive verbs that have dependent prepositions as well. For example, abide by, comply with, listen to, etc. So if we don't know who does something, or we don't care, it's the passive voice. If you do know who does something, it's the active voice. So let's have a look at the different times and different tenses. So here are the present tenses. Active, I make dinner. Passive, dinner is made. See how the object of the transitive verb has gone to the subject of the sentence. Present continuous, I am making dinner. Dinner is being made. Present perfect simple, I have made dinner. Dinner has been made. Now we can't use the perfect continuous tenses. Dinner has been being made. We can't say that, or we don't. Technically you could, but we don't. We revert, we go back to the present perfect simple. Children are taught languages from an early age. Sports are being played less and less. Animals have been treated badly in many countries. So that's the present tenses. So when you get this information now, you should perhaps look at an IELTS writing task and just write some, don't answer the question or don't do a whole essay, but just think of some sentences that could work for that question. Let's look at the past tenses, same idea. I made dinner, dinner was made. I was making dinner, dinner was being made. I had made dinner, dinner had been made. So we've just changed the is to was, is being, have been, back one step in the past. Art was invested in more last century. Cultural traditions were being lost at an alarming rate last century. Students had been educated in philosophy before they went to university. Okay, so future tenses. And notice again, sorry, the past perfect continuous doesn't work. Okay. Future simple, same idea. I will make dinner, dinner will be made. Future continuous, I will be making dinner, dinner will be being made, although that does sound strange to us. But technically it works. You will not have to use this, by the way. Most of the language we use, 80% of what we use is the past simple and the present simple. So really, in your IELTS writing and speaking, mostly you will be using the simple tenses, present simple, past simple mostly. Okay, so that's the big one to focus on, really. Future perfect simple, I will have made dinner, dinner will have been made. Notice the pronunciation, not will have, but will have. And this is why these sort of structures are difficult, because you can't hear them. It's the same with would have been made, could have been, should have been. So of course we can change will to could, would, should. And we often use that structure, but again, difficult to hear. Again, future perfect continuous we don't use. The forests will be destroyed in a few years. The house will be being cleaned when you arrive. By the time I'm 60, my kids will have been educated. So there's the future tenses. There's also the passive infinitive. And remember that using modal verbs in the passive, modal verbs also show a complex structure. So in these sentences, you've kind of got two complex structures, or two parts of complex structures. You've got the modal verb and the passive, so double good, I think we could say. Improvements can be made in how we approach the subject. Nothing will be done if we don't discuss it publicly. Steps must be taken to protect children. Children need to be taught the value of money. So basically, you can use the passive voice in your writing and speaking. You will see it in the listening and hear it in the, and you'll see it in the reading and hear it in the listening too. But really, one place that it's absolutely essential is in the academic task 1, especially in the process. So you see in this process here, we've got limestone and clay. Well, limestone and clay are receiving all of the actions, aren't they? They're receiving the crushing, mixing, heating, grinding, and bagging. So the powder receives all of these verbs, doesn't it? So you can see here, I've written a short paragraph about that process. Firstly, limestone and clay are combined and fed. I should have highlighted that blue as well. Are combined and are fed is what it means, into the crusher. Fed is from feed. Feed means we put into. It's not just feeding. We also feed documents into a scanner. We feed whatever it is into a machine, which crushes them into a powder. This powder is then mixed before being sent into a rotating heater, where it is exposed to high temperatures. After that, it is sent to a grinder where it is ground into cement. Finally, the cement is bagged. So you can see if you don't know the passive voice, or you're not good at it, this process will be almost impossible, because we don't know who is using the machines. We can't say the worker combined the limestone and clay and fed it into the crusher, because it doesn't show that in the diagram. So you have to be able to do this well for the process. And writers that don't do that well have a disaster in the process. I've seen students who have, there was one particular kind of recipe where the task was to it shows how jam is made, a jam that you put on your toast if you do that. Some writers didn't know the passive, and they tried to use the active, but so they said, first you put the fruit into the sink and you wash it, and then you heat the fruit and you add sugar. Well, all of that's not a report, that's a recipe. It's an instruction. So that's a different task. So you need the passive here. It's not an option. So you need to spend some time studying that and looking at the questions and practicing it. Okay. Essential. Here's another example. Look, this is about the production of silk cloth, and you can see here we've got the verbs of what we're doing to the cocoon. There's the cocoon. So you need to talk about this process first, and then this one. The silk cloth is selected before it is boiled. Next is unwound before being twisted into a thread. Then the thread is weaved into a cloth before it is dyed. Notice also in the process that we've got these time words that are essential. Look, before, next, then. And it was the same on the previous examples as well. So in this type of task, you need to have firstly, secondly, thirdly, and then next. After that, finally. You must have those words. They help us to understand the timing of the process, the sequence of the process. Okie doke. So make sure you pay attention and start to notice the passive, and also to try to use it. Good luck with that. It's you can do it. It's quite logical. Once you understand it, it's quite logical. But you need to try to understand it. Do some practice questions, which we will provide you. Yeah, so good luck with that, and thank you very much for your time. I hope your preparation is going well, and have a great day.